I reviewed your flight plan. Not one error in a million keystrokes. Phenomenal. It's right that someone like you is taking us to Titan.
Has the committee approved the mission? There's been talk of delay.
You shouldn't listen to talk. You leave in a week.
Okay, let's all go. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. This is Wait, You Haven't Seen? It's a show where we talk about movies and specifically talk about a movie at least one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Travis, aka TV's Travis. This is episode number 327. And our movie this week from 1997 is Gattaca. And here to talk with me about it, it's Nicole Spagnuoloto. Nicole, how are you doing?
Hi, don't remind me. This is the problem. You sent me a list of movies and I'm like, oh my God, you haven't seen Gattaca? And then I was thinking, wait, when was that? And then I looked it up and I was like, 1997, I was in college.
Yeah.
And, and it stuck to me because I watched it when it came. I went to the movie theaters this year.
Okay.
I probably still have my little ticket stub.
Nice.
For like $5
Mhm.
to see it.
Back in the day, for sure.
But it was I've always loved a good just sci-fi fantasy movie. That's kind of my jam.
Mhm.
So when you said you hadn't seen it, I was like, what? And can I commend you on the name of your podcast? Because I cannot tell you how many times I have said to my husband, wait, you haven't seen Young Frankenstein? And then I stop everything and we watch Young Frankenstein.
I mean, that is a movie you stop everything for. You're like, no, we are
Right.
not. I will not go another hour and a half without you having seen Young Frankenstein. Like, absolutely. It's a classic.
It really is. Well, and it's been funny because he has seen a lot of different. We grew up in the 80s together.
Mhm.
But there used to be a board game where TV trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Where you would get clips of movies, and that's how I found out he had never seen the movie, because it was like, put the candle back, and I'm like, how do you not know the answer to this?
Right? Oh.
So anyway, Gattaca to me happened like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. No. Like, the year 2000 was just a few years ago. And I say that because I graduated high school in 2000, and I'm next Friday, less than a week from when we record this, I'm going to my 25-year reunion, and I don't like that.
I went to my
feels
10-year and I haven't been back. See, I'm much older than you. I graduated in 1994.
Well, we were supposed to have a 20-year, and that was 2020, so nothing happened.
Yeah, of course.
But either way, so you saw Gattaca in theaters. I remember this movie coming out. I remember it being a thing. I've loved Ethan Hawke forever.
Yes.
Okay.
I do like an Ethan Hawke movie. I've always liked his approach to his thoughts about movies.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the creative arts. And I don't know if he had gotten where he is now. Like, if you listen to an interview, he's like a sage.
He is. He's so
I don't think he was there
thoughtful.
just yet. I don't think he was there just yet in 97. I think he was still kind of, learning about the
Oh, probably. But I mean, he was only
Hollywood world. Yeah.
He wasn't even 30 years old yet in 97.
Right,
so like
right.
he hadn't had the experience to get to where he is now, because you're right. Like, listening to interviews with him in the last few years, I love it because he's so just thoughtful and really, really into art and into the forms of art, and talks about like reading poetry or reading,
and why
reading
it means
things
so
and,
much.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But
yeah,
I have liked him as an actor. I saw him, the thing that immediately when I hear the name Ethan Hawke, the first movie that pops into my head, White Fang. I saw him in White Fang when I was just a kid. He was a kid.
He was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
And
barely remember that movie.
I mean, it was a
I
book that I read because like every
yeah,
young boy in the 80s and early 90s read White Fang
sure.
and read Hatchet, and like you just had to. And so I saw that movie and I saw him in it and I was like, I like this guy. And so then I would watch everything with him pretty much. And I just always enjoyed what he brought to the screen. Like I have said for years, Denzel Washington for Training Day 1000% earned his Oscar, right? His Academy Award
Mm-hmm.
for Best Actor in Training Day is absolutely earned.
It's
He
so
arguably is
it's so funny.
outacted by Ethan Hawke in that movie.
I'm going to act like I remember Training Day. So I have a really bad memory now, and that's why I had to rewatch the movie
Sure.
because honestly, I couldn't remember other than Ethan Hawke. I could not remember the other actors that were in this movie. And I didn't think it was Uma Thurman. I was
Okay.
thinking it was some other blonde actress. Who's another like Uma
Huh.
Thurman actress that
I mean,
I'm trying because they're
in
I know
in
I didn't think Uma Thurman
yeah, I mean Uma
Thurma
Thurman, Uma Thurma. In that
Uma
era,
Thurma
you
Thurmas.
could almost say like almost Reese Witherspoon. She might be a little bit too young,
Mm,
but
no, it
and
was.
Uma like
I mean, I might even think I might remember as we go into
sure.
this a little bit more, but
Um but yeah, I like Ethan Hawke is great and he's great in this. I really like him as Vincent slash Jerome throughout this movie because he brings like a really he's there's moments where he seems almost robotic and you can
y-
tell that's like
everybody's a robot in this movie.
kind of yeah.
Like, yeah, like it seemed like so we should probably say the premise
Yeah, yeah.
of I mean the whole name of the movie is like a genetic sequence your DNA. And
Yep.
I find it fascinating because I, I hate when I'm like when I got sick a couple years ago, I didn't have any answers, so I dove down into genetic sequencing and
hmm
trying to figure out what's going on. You don't hear that, do you? You hear the dinging?
Nope, you're fine.
Okay. Um uh so that whole world didn't exist then. Like it was kind of like that was I find it so fascinating how movies can push forward technology.
Oh
You
yeah.
see you see that with like Minority Report, for instance. Like
Yep.
none of that stuff was even possible when that movie came out, but yet we kind of have that world now.
Yeah, even
Like
going back to like Star Trek, like 60s Star Trek gave us things like portable phones, right? Because of the portable
right,
communicator.
right,
And that's
right.
one of the things I love. Like sci-fi is such a fun genre to tell stories in because you can have a lot of leeway and a lot of fun and it does you end up seeing life imitate art in a lot of
Yeah.
ways where things that we talk about in sci-fi become more realistic and become the things that we strive for. And Gattaca being one of those, because this is 1997. And remind
97.
me, I think Dolly the sheep was right around this time, right?
Yes, I looked it up. So Dolly the sheep, and I remember this being a really, really big deal
Mm-hmm.
that a
Oh yeah,
sheep was cloned. They didn't announce it. So it happened in 96, but they announced it in 97.
yeah. So like genetics in
So
general and genetic engineering was very like early days speculation in terms of like mass market. Like there were science pockets that knew about it and been looking at it, but from a mass audience standpoint, we hadn't done a lot of that. So it was a fascinating thing in the late 90s to talk about
mhm.
genetics and eugenics and sort of the selective breeding and this idea of and sci-fi. This isn't the first time a sci-fi story has been about like selective traits and sort of natural
Right.
birth versus engineered birth at all. I mean, we saw that. I think Brave New World probably covers that quite a bit.
I
Even
don't know that movie.
even something like The Time Machine, H.G. Wells, right back in the
Oh,
day with
okay.
the Eloi and the
Yeah.
Morlocks and how they diverged over time.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't brand new, but it was something that we were really interested in at this time. And this movie explores it in a way that I think is really kind of interesting. And then the
Yeah.
philosophical ideas behind it too, I think are kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a thinking movie
It is very much that.
because it's also a murder. It's a murder mystery too. So you got all the genetics and the ethics of, you know, changing your genetics. And
Hmm.
then you have, you know, it's an underdog story, right? You know, in the
Yeah.
sense that are you who you are designed to be?
Hmm.
And I so I really I like a good underdog story. And
Yeah.
that's um and then the introduction, we haven't talked about Jude Law, have we?
Not yet, but Jude Law, and this is early in his career.
Hubba hubba hubba.
He wasn't. I don't think this was his first movie, but he hadn't done a lot prior to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had done some, I think, a couple of TV things maybe,
I
but
was
for the
saying, I
most
think this
part,
is the first time I had ever seen him in a movie.
mhm.
Um and I are we giving away the whole, I mean, it's not like we're spoiling stuff, right?
Well,
We can
we don't restrain spoilers here because we're talking about
okay,
the movie.
okay. We're talking and it's old.
Yeah.
So,
Plus, it's been
if you
almost
haven't
30
seen it,
years. It's your fault if you haven't
and
seen
I
it.
will say, there have been times where I have been spoiled by movies that makes me want to watch it even more.
In some ways, yeah. And it's
So,
not like there's big twists in this either, where if you know stuff about what happens in the third act, it doesn't
eh,
take away from the story, really. There's
not
one
really.
there's
I
one
won't
item.
yeah, we won't tell you who murdered the person.
Well,
How
and the
about
nice
that?
thing is, like, so it's interesting because there is the murder part of it, but that's almost like B plot. That's secondary to what's going on,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they don't focus on that. It's a huge. It's like it's the inciting incident. It's what we kind of focus on is in terms of like the suspenseful part of things. Will he get caught or not? But
Right.
it's not like the movie hinges on who killed this guy. I mean, it's a character we never even meet. We never even meet the guy that dies, which is
Right.
kind of
No.
fascinating to
Are
me.
you sure we didn't meet him? I thought we met him at no?
No, we
No.
never do. The only character, so we've got Ethan Hawke's Vincent, Jude Law's
Yeah.
Jerome, Uma Thurman is one of his coworkers at Gattaca, Irene,
And
and
it's the
then
old guy that is always praising him about his
yep,
cleanliness of his
and
desk.
that's the director Joseph, played by Gore Vidal.
Okay. Okay.
But the guy that is murdered early on, that happens off screen, so we don't there. It's not like we have a whole scene where it happens and then we're trying to figure out who it is throughout the movie. He is killed. He's like the flight director or something, and
Mhm.
he was trying to stop. It's a space mission, so Gattaca.
Yeah, to Titan, is it? They're going to a Saturn
Yep,
moon,
yep. Saturn's moon Titan,
and
and it's Ethan
and
Hawke's. It's
why I don't
Vincent's.
know.
It's one of the cool things. This was thing I thought about when I was watching this movie that I think is really cool that they did, which is we don't see the rest of the world. We really
Right.
only see what's going on with Vincent and Jerome and Gattaca, and that's it.
Mhm.
We don't
His
spend a lot of
world.
time. Yeah, we don't spend a lot of time outside of his apartment and his work. So why are they
Right.
doing? And there's multiple launches every day of flights like space flights going on because we see.
And there's only a window that they can do, and it seems like
Yeah,
there's a lot of different missions happening,
right.
and
And they don't take a lot of time. They don't take any time to explain any of that. Why are they doing all of these missions? Where are all of them going? And why is there such a short window? But we don't need any of that either. It's just
I
like,
was gonna say I don't think I even cared.
no, not
Like,
really.
that's like, okay, that's just his goal like, since he's a little kid.
Hmm.
So he was born the natural way. He he that's the crazy thing. Like, they were able, when he's born, did you know Maya Rudolph is in this?
No, I didn't realize it until I was
I
reading
didn't
after the fact. I
either.
didn't notice
I
her.
looked at the she was the nurse
Yeah.
who I think took the blood from the baby,
Yep.
which then automatically tells them the percentage chance that, like, he had an 89% chance of ADHD.
Yep.
He had a 30% chance of mental illness. And then he had a 99% chance of a heart defect, which would life expectancy would be roughly what, 30?
Yeah.
He would
30
die
years.
when he was
And
30
I
of a heart
mean,
attack, is
it's
when he was just born. Like,
right.
what?
And that's a thing where, like, as a parent, you almost don't want to know that, because
No.
it's like, okay, if you know that, you know more about your child, but at the same time,
Yeah.
now you've got that hanging over your head forever.
Well, and
And I
my
just
thought
can't
is, if you
imagine
can
that.
tell me that, can't you get my kid a heart transplant, or
Right?
like, um,
Well, and that, yeah, because then
do
it goes
something
straight
about
to
this?
like genetic engineering, because you've got
Right.
his parents, by the way. Jane Brooke plays his mom, but his dad, Antonio, is played by Elias
Oh
Koteas,
yeah.
and I
Yes.
love him. He's
Yeah, I
another
like him too.
one. Casey Jones. He was Casey Jones in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and it
Oh
doesn't
yes, he
matter.
was. I forgot about that.
I see
Oh,
him
that's
in
funny.
so many things, and all I think of is Casey Jones. I can't help it. It's just
Oh, that's
that movie made a
awesome.
huge impression on me, but I love seeing him in things. And like him and his parents wrestling with this idea of like, we have a child, but now they
Yeah.
know, ooh, there's
Yeah.
a good chance this kid's not going to live past 30. And he even says at one point,
Right.
like, 30 years. And so they decide to do the genetic engineering for another child. They want to have a
Their
little brother
second
for him,
child. Mm-hmm.
which that whole scene is kind of fascinating where they're sitting down with the
It was
geneticist.
heartbreaking
It really is.
when they measure them.
Oh, yeah. So
When they measure him, I was just like, gosh, that's just awful.
because
He's he's the little he's the big brother, but he's the little brother,
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's,
and not only is he the little brother, but like in every measurable way, he is quote unquote
Mhm.
inferior to his younger brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the tagline for this movie is "There is no gene for the human spirit," and that's a lot of what the thrust of the story is like Vincent overcoming the limitations that he is given.
He has what is called PDA.
Mhm.
Like, don't tell me I can't do it.
Right.
I'm gonna do it.
There's even a
That's pretty much
moment.
how I've lived my life. Like,
Oh yeah.
don't tell me I can't do it, because guess what? I'm gonna do it.
There's even a moment later on in the movie where, and it's a fairly tense scene where Vincent's on the treadmill and he's got the recording
Yeah.
of, so Vincent, for the story, Vincent he's an invalid. He's not going to have a good job. He's basically going to do remedial, menial tasks. That's his lot in life. There's sort of a
And
caste
even though it's
system.
illegal to um m- to not hire somebody based on their genetics,
Mhm.
they do it all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
which if you
the
think about like reality
discrimination
wise,
is like rampant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a little social commentary in there about kind of life in general, that I do
Mhm.
see. I even love the line of "they got discrimination down to a science."
Right. Yeah.
But
They do.
he hooks up with somebody who I did not expect Tony Shalhoub to show up in this movie, and in a
Oh
role that is
yeah.
not comedic really at all.
No.
He's just playing it very like straightforward. But he's credited as quote German, because he's never given a name, but he's just like some kind of a black market guy that helps create these what do they call them? Stolen ladders,
Yeah.
which I thought was a fascinating phase. And basically, Vincent is going to use the genetic material of somebody who was genetically engineered to be peak performance, but had a problem. In this case, Jerome, Jude Law's character, who was like a champion swimmer or something. But it's this really cool thing where so many of these genetically engineered people that we meet Jerome and we meet his brother, and they don't necessarily meet the expectations that they're given. And I
Right.
wonder how much of that is because these expectations are given to them from birth and it's not the thing
Well, they
where,
don't have to try. If you're
yeah,
told, "Oh, you're wonderful, you're great, your genetics are gonna make you go far," how hard are you gonna try in life?
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what it feels like.
Because it's not the same as like a parent being like, oh, my kid can play in the major leagues or my kid could be the president. Because you always have
Right.
those thoughts about your children that they can be whatever they want to be. But in this case, it's doctors and scientists telling them, no, you're going to have a child that is literally like exactly what you want, and here's what they're going to be able to do. And so you're right. How much effort do you put into that? Because
Yeah.
young Anton is just better than his brother in every measurable way. And so
Yeah.
for them to play, and I love that in the flashback they play chicken, and their version of chicken is going out into the ocean and
Swimming out
swimming.
to sea. Let's see who can drown, children.
Right? Exactly. And it's great because the way it's given to us in the narrative is Anton would always beat Vincent. The younger brother would always
Yeah.
win until one day
Right.
when they were whatever, late teens, probably, I think they're supposed to be.
Yeah, they seem late teens because he's so obsessed. Ethan Hawke's character is so obsessed about space
Mhm.
and everyone telling him it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And so he has this kind of like thing that's always on his mind that he wants to do.
Yeah, he gets
And then he
a
has this
chip on his shoulder.
and then he has this relationship, very kind of contentious relationship with his brother. Like they didn't show any like scenes fighting, but this was kind of like the way that they fought.
Yeah.
These swim offs, I guess. I don't know. That sounds so stupid.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Like it's a
Yeah.
cool way to do sibling rivalry where they don't have to have like knockdown drag out fights, but there's just this constant thing of like Vincent really wants this thing, but he's continuously told, nope, you can't do it. I mean, his dad even says at one point, the only way you're going to see the inside of a spaceship is if you're cleaning it.
Cleaning it, yeah.
Which
he was kind of a jerk.
He was.
That was such a jerk. And the way that he was going to give Ethan Hawke's character his first name first,
mm-hmm.
and then once he found out, they told him, he changed it to Vincent. Like,
yeah.
That was such a, can I say dick?
Yeah. Oh, no, go for it. No, his
it
dad
was such a dick move. It was a dick move. Like, he's such a dick.
And I feel like there's a little bit of tragic in that it is a dick move, but it's not malicious. It's just sort of the dad doesn't understand how to deal with it, and that's his way of dealing with it, and it's the wrong way to do it. Like dad,
and it happened so fast, and all of that, but still, dick move. Alan Arkin is in this.
Love Alan Arkin. Love him so much.
And he's one of the detectives.
Yeah, and there's such a fun interplay between the detectives, which, all right, if you haven't seen the movie yet, this is a spoiler, but it doesn't fundamentally change anything about the movie because they're giving you the breadcrumbs throughout. But the two detectives, Alan Arkin plays Detective Hugo, who is the older but junior detective, to the senior detective played by Lauren Dean, who is, it's revealed, Anton. It's the brother.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious from the very beginning that it's his brother.
But I really like the interplay between the two of them, because here you've got, again, you've got Anton as the lead detective. He's the one that's in charge of everything, but he doesn't have to try. He's just there.
Right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alan Arkin is such a better detective than him. Like just across the board.
But I got the impression because of his age, he's definitely not genetically modified. He
correct.
Just is
And so because of
who
that,
he
he's like
is.
second class, right? He's not
Right.
looked at as well. So he's got to call the younger detective sir and all this kind of stuff. But meanwhile, he's like just a much more intuitive and better detective because he's had to work at it. He's had to try.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's a big theme throughout all of this is like Vincent and Detective Hugo and how they overcome. There's a great line. I started mentioning it, but there's a scene where Vincent is doing some physical training. So he's on the treadmill and they're monitoring his heart.
Yeah.
And he's got a recording of Jerome's heartbeat, like 20 minutes of Jerome
Yeah.
heartbeat so that he can fake it.
And and we should say Jerome's in a wheelchair.
Yes.
He's disabled and not and he's English, so it happened overseas, so it's not on record anywhere in
Mhm.
the US. So that's why that he can kind of do this thing with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's supplying Ethan Hawke with like blood and urine to pass tests. And they do a recording of his heartbeat that then,
Why is there so many tests? There's so
oh,
many tests.
so many.
So much blood, so much urine.
The finger
Come on.
prick coming in and out of work was an interesting one, right?
Yeah.
When they enter the building, they have to prick their finger and it tests their blood as like a genetic test. It's their form of swiping an ID, but they do it with the fingerprints.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, I get it, but also it's like it's kind of dystopian. That's
That would hurt every day
yeah,
to get a finger
daily.
prick. Like, ow.
I was going every other week to get plasma drawn, and just doing that was annoying. I wouldn't want to do
You
it every
give
day.
plasma?
I do, as often as I can.
Oh,
I
thank
need
you. I probably have some of your plasma in me.
It is possible. I need to do that again. It's been a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, just doing that every other week and getting the finger prick before going in and actually doing that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to do that daily. That would just be awful.
That would be awful.
But yeah, there's a
Yeah,
moment.
so
It's that
it
moment
just
when
seems
he's on the treadmill and the detectives are talking to him, and it's the director, it's Gore Vidal's character, the old man, says something to the effect of like, we know everyone's potential and nobody can exceed their potential, because if they exceeded their potential, that just means we didn't rate their potential high enough.
right.
And I really liked that moment because that is exactly what Vincent is doing, which is resetting the bar for his own potential. He's saying, yeah, you
Right.
say I can't do a thing. No, I can. I will prove it to you,
I
even
am
though it's
I'm
probably
gonna
going to kill him.
2 snaps. I'm
Right?
gonna well,
Exactly.
and somebody in your chat just did the quote, I didn't save anything for the return trip.
Oh, that's
Phelan.
so good.
Like that was so I started researching like, do you think he's gonna come back? Like, how long is this trip? Do we know how long he's gonna be gone?
It's supposed to be a year,
Because it's only a year to
which
get
I
to
don't
Saturn?
understand because it's going to take him that long just to get there.
Like,
I would
I was
think.
like, are they gonna put him in like a stasis state, or are they gonna be awake the whole time?
Oof, it'd be a
Like,
long trip.
I kind of want to know more about like how they get to Saturn.
I do
And
too, and that's one of the cool things about the movie is because it doesn't tell you those
no,
details.
it doesn't tell me any of it.
It gets your brain going, and now you want to know because they're doing a lot of launches. They're doing multiple launches a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, because he says to Jerome when he's getting ready to leave, look, I'll be, it's only going to be a year.
That's
So he's
right.
gone for a year, but because the ending to this movie, when we get to it, is very bittersweet.
It is. I feel it was unnecessary. But I mean, if you are conditioned from birth to believe that you are the best at everything and you don't have the coping skills to not be the best at everything,
Yeah.
like these people don't have coping skills
No, and they're
at
not
all.
given any. They're not given any help
Yeah.
to develop them. They're just told from birth, you're perfect and you're going to do great and great
Yeah.
things. And there's the moment when he first pulls out. This is what I love about visual storytelling is it tells you so much about Jerome when he pulls out that silver medal from his pocket. He
Yeah.
carries that thing with
Yeah.
him everywhere.
And
he
see, that's
pull
something that he should be proud of, but it was his demise,
Yeah, he
you
should
know?
be, but it's the line when he pulls that out and he shows it to Vincent and he says, Jerome Morrow was never meant to be one step down on the podium. And he was
Yeah.
never given any way to work with or deal with the fact that no matter how good you are, there's always going to be somebody a little bit better.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's true in a lot of things.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
absolutely true. It doesn't matter how good you are at something. Somebody will be better than you at some point.
could
And that's not a
could you
bad thing.
imagine these kids playing like board games or video games?
Oh,
Because I mean, we're in a futuristic world. I mean,
mhm.
video games have to exist.
You would think so, yeah.
And like the rage quits that
Oh,
would happen.
but it's just, it's this
But
idea that like he doesn't, you're right. The coping mechanisms aren't there to be like, I was second place, which
yeah.
is still incredible. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he doesn't know how to deal with that. And so, his story is very tragic and his story is very sad because Jerome, given all this stuff, he's Jude Law. I mean, guy got to look like Jude
Bubba.
Law, for crying out loud. Like,
Gosh.
there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But his basically finishing second place, it was the downfall. And the reveal when he tells Vincent that the car accident wasn't an accident, that he wasn't
No, yeah.
drunk.
No, I don't even think it was a car. He said it was a bus that he walked out. He
Yeah,
walked
either
in front
like
of it.
whatever it was. Yeah, he just walked out in front of it.
Yeah, he tried to
And
kill himself.
like, just, it's so heartbreaking. And of course it didn't happen. And then he's bound to a wheelchair. But the bittersweet part of it is that, because I love the relationship between Vincent and Jerome.
Yeah.
And I like how it grows over the course of the movie, because it starts off, they both have an agenda, and each one of them is kind of looking at the other one as a means to an end. Like Vincent sees Jerome as his ticket into Gattaca, and Jerome
Right.
sees Vincent as a way to make some money. He can't do anything
Yeah,
else anymore. He's stuck in a
and his
wheelchair, and
life
this guy,
like, where's his family? Like,
right? Yeah, we get none of that.
we don't see any of his family, but he's used to living a certain lifestyle, and he's an alcoholic.
Yep.
So that's one of Ethan Hawke's challenges, is he has to clean his pee, basically.
Yeah. Which is that's a
Like,
great scene where he's going through. He's like,
he's
there's more
going through all the
vodka.
bags.
There's more vodka in here than piss. He keeps going. He's like, try the one from Friday. How about Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. That's the one when I didn't drink. Like, but their relationship is great because it starts off that way. But by the time we kind of move forward to, it's a week until Vincent gets to go to space, there's a genuine friendship that is developed between the two of them.
Mhm.
They actually care about
He
each other.
develops multiple relationships
Mhm.
that he wasn't expecting. And I think there's times where he's even second guessing going into space.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. As things develop with Uma Thurman's character Irene, like
Yeah.
he's starting to second guess a little bit.
She has no emotion. She has no emotion at all, though, in this movie.
No.
Like everybody is just so like.
And
I
I
don't
wonder how
know.
much of that is the idea of this somewhat dystopian future.
Yeah.
And because it's not just like, it's all the persona that Ethan Hawke puts on as Jerome is very much the same. It's very emotionless. And
Right.
Irene is
True.
emotionless. And Jerome
Right.
has that at times. And we see it with director Joseph. He's trying to be that way. But you can
Yeah.
also tell, like, he's from maybe before an era of a lot of the elites. And so
Yeah.
he has a little bit more emotion. Anton does not. But Detective Hugo, Alan Arkin's character, definitely does.
And I recognized him, but I have forgotten his name. Ernest Borgnine
Oh, I loved his
plays.
character.
I did too. So he's he's the one that brings Ethan Hawke's character Vincent into Gattaca as a janitor.
Yep.
And the banter between them, and he's like, Ethan Hawke's like, I'm cleaning this window so you can see me go up in space or something like that. Like,
Mhm.
there's a playfulness
Yeah.
between them, and you can tell that Ernest Borgnine's character really does like Ethan Hawke's character,
And
and
there
there's
definitely was like more story there that they cut. I know there was. I saw a deleted scene
oh
that had Vincent comes into like the locker room area, and he has a chat with Caesar, with Ernest Borgnine's character,
oh
after he has
like
started becoming
legit,
Jerome.
because there's only unspoken things between them that happen.
Mhm.
Like, he drinks from a cup, and Caesar takes the cup, and I'll take care of this for you.
Yeah.
Like, I know what to do with this.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. It's always that kind
and
of wink, at each other.
yeah,
Like, I know
yeah,
who you are. But there was a deleted scene where they kind of have the conversation, and I think it has to do with him not sure if he should go or not. And
uh-huh,
it was kind of neat. Like, there's definitely more story there, but what I like is the way it plays out in the movie. You don't need to see those scenes to understand their
right,
relationship. Like,
yeah.
Vincent came there for a job and had his sights set high, and Caesar's like, yeah, whatever, mop, like you're working. But he
You're
saw
working.
something in the kid.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was that he's the old coach that sees something in the kid trying out for the football team, or he's it's that character. And Borgnine is perfect for that, because if you could put if you like personify grandfatherly, I feel like Ernest Borgnine is
Mm.
that. Like, the
Oh
gentle old
yeah,
grandpa that just everybody loves is
yeah.
Ernest Borgnine.
I want to give him a big hug.
Yeah, all the time. It's so great. Another
Yeah.
character I really liked, by the way, was the doctor that is always administering the
Oh
tests.
yeah, that's always telling him, remind me to tell you the story of my son.
Yes.
Is that
And
the one you're talking about?
yep. And that is character actor Xander Berkeley, who has popped up in so many things, and he has such a range. Like, he was the really terrible stepdad in Terminator 2. And he's this guy that can play both sides of things. Like, he can be a total dick, or he can be like kind of a cool character. And I liked him in this
Yeah.
because he's just like this awkward doctor. Like, the whole exchange the first time we meet him, where Vincent's coming to work and he's got to do his test, and
Yeah.
he's got to pee into a cup in front of the doctor. And like, the whole conversation is about, well,
I really want to know how that worked, because
right?
I want to know, like, because Vincent goes through some very painful procedures to become Jerome,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, does he insert it into his thing? Like, because he's seeing his wiener.
Yeah.
Like, he sees his wiener.
Not just seeing it, complimenting him on it, which
Yeah,
was
kind of weird.
it's very weird. Like, have I ever told you? Yeah, only every time I'm here. Well, it's
Yep.
just I see a lot of them, and
I see a lot of wieners.
I see a lot of wieners, and yours is a nice one. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
It's like,
so
okay,
so
I know you
strange.
want a date. It's okay.
I really like the way I want to watch the movie again and try to see if I can figure out when the doctor knows about Vincent, because by
I
the end
think
of the
he
movie,
knows.
he
I think
absolutely does.
I think he knows from the
You
beginning,
think so?
because he tells him at the end. Just FYI,
Oh, that's true.
right-handed men don't pee with their left, or don't hold it with their left.
Which,
Like,
I
I
mean,
think he knew from the beginning.
I guess if anyone would, it would be that doctor.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he makes the comment about, like, I see a lot of
His
a lot of
son.
wieners, and yours is really nice because it's the prosthetic that he's got. Who knows?
Oh, is it? You think it's a prosthetic?
I feel like it has to be something that he can insert the tube into. when
Oh,
because he
yeah,
was strapping it onto his
maybe.
leg, and we just don't see that part.
Yeah. So he just holds his pee because that's the other thing about this movie. Uh, Ethan Hawke's character every single day goes into this like chamber to like scrub his skin cells
Oh
off
yeah,
and like his hair, and I'm like, look, you doing that at the beginning of the day is not gonna. I lose hair all day long.
I was thinking
Like
about that
they
because I
would
do too.
find me. They would find me instantly.
Yeah, if you were
So
really, really down for like you couldn't leave behind any trace, he would have been
yeah,
shaved completely and worn like a wig of some kind.
right.
But he is very
Yes.
meticulous about it, which, by the way, is a really I love the opening shots of the movie. Those hyper
Yeah.
macro focused of like fingernail clippings and hair, because
Yeah.
it's so it just looks so weird and alien, and the way
Yeah.
it's slightly slowed down, and so you've got like the sound design at that point when they're hitting like
The
really loud.
like he's using like one of those awful sand
Oh
like
yeah,
pumice
sandstone, pumice
pumice
stones. Yep.
pumice stone. And I'm just like, dude, that's not gonna do anything later.
But not only does he do all
So
that, then he leaves it all in that chamber and incinerates it.
and it burns it up.
um and then proceeds to like put fake fingerprints on that have a little blood pack in them so he can pass his
Hmm.
blood test on his way in, and just all the lengths that they go to for it, which is both way too much and not enough, is just kind of crazy, but it's very fitting for the world that they made. It makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense there.
it does. It
Also,
does. It
using the
does.
same pumice stone to scrape your skin off and then running that through your hair, yeah, yeah. You're
Ugh.
just putting all that dead
Why?
skin in your hair. Why would you do that?
And and there's times where like as he's typing, he's typing out they're trying to get to Neptune. What was it again?
Titan.
What was the Titan?
Mhm.
And so he has created the path, like the best way to get there.
Yep.
And when he's typing, I'm like, dude, you're leaving fingerprints. Like,
Yeah.
you should see my keyboard. It is nasty.
Oh no, I don't.
It's not that nasty, but still, you leave things in your keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like has his little vacuum that he vacuums everything up. And then he takes Jerome's skin cells and like taps it into the keyboard.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He sterilizes his presence and then puts a fake presence behind it,
mhm,
taking hairs and putting them on his comb, because there's
mhm.
always going to be a couple of hairs stuck on your comb. Makes sense. It's just one of those. It's
Why
like
are you
doing all
combing
of
your
that.
hair at work though?
I mean, his hair
Do
is constantly perfectly coiffed. So
He's gelled it to his head.
right. No, it's shellacked at that point. Like that hair is hurricane proof. And you couldn't move that
Maybe
hair if
that's
you
why
wanted.
it went. But it's always about hair in this movie. They have a
Yeah.
fascination of like the strands of hair are so poignant because
Hmm.
it's like, here's my hair. If you still want to date me,
Right.
like what?
That was a cool, by the way, when Uma Thurman takes the hair off the comb and she's like trying to find out about him because she's
Yeah,
suspicious of
yeah,
him,
yeah,
and she
yeah, yeah,
takes it to
yeah.
that window,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the other girl there who they're swabbing
The
her lips because she just kissed a guy and she wants
kissed
the
him
genetic
real
makeup.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, kissed him real good.
Oh, I
Um,
like
but then what they give her, I'm like looking at this going, who would know how to read this?
right? It's just
It's
reams of
just
paper.
it's this scroll of like letters. Just like, I need the sequencing.com
Right?
dilution of
Yeah.
like likely, unlikely. You have this genetic, you have that genetic. Like,
If
I
it
will
was
say, as someone who has been through genetic counseling, it I need it dumbed down. I can't just look at I just can't look at the letters. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
So,
I know. It's not a profile so much as it was just a whole lot of information dump.
yeah,
But hey,
yeah. Well,
um,
and then the person that gave it to her was like, "Oh, he's a catch."
yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. They give
Like,
the whatever the quotient was, like 9.3.
yeah,
I'm guessing on a scale
yeah.
of 10. I don't know.
Mm, who
Um,
knows? It was all silly.
Now this was written and directed by Andrew Niccol, and this was his first film.
I was wondering who directed it.
So another movie he
Has he
did.
done other? I was gonna say, tell me
Yeah.
what else has he done?
So he did this 5 years later. He directed Simone, which was about
I don't know
artificial
that.
intelligence. It was all right.
Simone.
But the one he did that I really like is in 2005, he did a Nick Cage movie called Lord of War. And if you
Oh,
haven't
that
seen
was a
that,
good.
Lord of War
I
is
have.
really good.
Yes, I did
Um,
see that. That's a very good movie.
so he to me is kind of fascinating in that he's
Oh,
done
he wrote
those.
and directed this at Gattaca.
Yeah. Yep. And it was just,
Hmm.
he had been a producer he produced like The Truman Show the next year.
See him as a
And
writer for that.
yep,
That's
he had
cool.
written that
Oh,
screenplay.
he did a movie that I did not like
Oh.
a lot. In Time with
Mm.
Justin Timberlake.
That is
Oh,
one. So
I hated that movie so much.
that is a movie that I have not seen it, but I love the concept of it.
Oh God.
He tends to do kind of high concept, and the sci-fi that he did
Yeah.
with this and In Time
Yeah.
is very high concept sci-fi.
Maybe if it had been just somebody other than Justin Timberlake, maybe it would have been better. But yes, I do like you said, I do like these kind, like Gattaca. Like
Mhm.
we're going beyond what our technology is currently, and we're looking at the future at what maybe could happen.
Mhm.
But In Time, do you know the premise?
I know the premise of it. Yeah, like you basically,
Like,
time is your currency, like how long you have left.
yeah, so the richest people live forever
Mhm.
because they just have all of this time, and the time keeps them alive. And then you have different segments. It's a classism. It's kind of like a Snowpiercer with each car
Okay,
is a
yeah.
class
Yeah.
of people. And that's the way it works in this movie too, where it's like, and that's kind of how it works in Gattaca too, right? He's really interested in the classism
Yeah.
that happens from um in I guess in the case of the people that have the genetic lottery, that you just assume they're going to be rich,
Sure.
but they might not. But they might not be,
Mhm.
So, but in the In Time movie, time is how you pay for things, and time is how you live.
Okay. Yeah, and like I like that
So
concept. I'd be curious to see it and see kind of what I think of it.
you should put it on one of your shows.
I should.
Yep,
But I love the
I hated
thought
it.
that goes into it. Like I love the
Of
thought that
course,
goes into this
yeah,
movie, and this idea of
yeah,
like nature versus nurture, right, is always a compelling concept to look at, and sort
sure,
of
yeah, yeah,
all of that kind of stuff, which this movie really dives into. It also has a really cool look to it. I love the retro futurism
yeah.
of a movie like this, where they're
It holds
driving
up.
around.
I
Oh
will
yeah,
say it holds up for 2025.
yeah.
Um,
Well, because you've got like
which
all the
is
old style cars, right? So they just look classic, but yet they're all it's the I mean retrofuturism. It's taking an old thing but making it sound different, and so therefore it's sci-fi.
mhm, yeah,
Firefly did a really good job of that, the series, where they would
right,
have all of their weapons looked like old school Western pistols, but they sounded
right,
different. And that was just a
mhm.
real easy way to just give it that sci-fi feel. And I loved all of the cars and like the green headlights that they had and the sound. I actually captured the sound of the car at one point because it's got that almost Jetsons car sound as they drive by, which I thought was cool.
Did you do you have the audio?
I do. I do. So
Can
the
I hear it?
cars, yeah, the cars sounded like
Because
this.
I'm
It's that like whir, that
See, the whirly. See, I was thinking.
that's a little more Star Warsy and
That's
Jetsons,
more
but
like no, the Jetsons. I mean,
yeah.
it was like like a little.
But I love that idea of you see a car, because we all know what cars sound like, what engines sound like, and
Right.
so to take that sound away and give it just that sound, especially in 1997, like we didn't
True.
have
Electric
the electric
cars.
cars that we do now. So, love
Are
that.
so I know I might. I hate the sound of electric cars. We have one in the neighborhood. I hate the sound of it. Like it drives me up the wall. I can't be the only one that hates the sound of an electric car.
Probably
Like
not. I mean,
I don't know.
it's a
I
sound.
hate it.
You know what it is, because it's so incongruous to what we're used to a car sounding like.
I don't
It
know. It
has
just
this whir and just tire noise, and that's it. And you want to hear
yeah.
that exhaust. You want to hear
I
you're
don't even know if I
conditioned
want to
to it.
hear the exhaust. I just don't want to hear like it's I think it's a sensory thing for me
Mm.
where it just is like it's too high pitch.
It's hitting the
It's
frequencies
too
that just drive you nuts. Okay,
yes.
I can see that.
I,
Yeah,
yeah, so I'm like, can we just make it quiet? Like, can we just like, psh? Like,
yeah.
I don't even. But then there was like a whole movie. I can't remember who it was where uh it was two funny actors, and I think it might have been Seth Rogen, where they're trying to make a electric Mustang car have like a rev, like
Oh,
there is a movie out there and I cannot remember the name of it,
hmm.
but and it's supposed to be a comedy, but their job is to make a Ford Mustang sound like a Ford Mustang even though it's electric.
Okay. I mean,
So,
I've definitely seen that before. So not that movie,
yeah.
but I've seen that idea done before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
So,
loved the look of everything and how clean and sterile the Gattaca building is,
yeah,
which
yeah.
does
Well,
make
it has to
for,
be, right? I
yeah.
mean,
But it does make that really nice contrast then when at the beginning of it we have the murder happen and we just see
right.
like the guy and just the pool of blood and how I wasn't prepared when I started the movie for how brutal
It
that
was
was going to look.
that was a that was an intense, ragey act, and I'm like, when it happened, I'm like, who you just assume the way that they set Ethan's character up. It's like, why he wouldn't do that. Like, and they try to put a little doubt in your head about him. I'm like, there's no way he did that.
Okay,
So
so that's a good question that I have for you because I have seen some theories that it was Vincent that killed that guy. Is that what you think
really,
or no?
no,
Because I
I
don't.
definitely don't. I don't think he did it.
No.
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Now you're messing with me. But
I
the old detective figures it out though,
mhm.
and
and
he's the one.
and I do think that the old man director Joseph, um, copping to having done it. I don't know necessarily that he did, but I buy him actually killing the
Wanting
flight director more than Ethan Hawke's character, more than Vincent doing it.
same, because the flight director kept canceling his
Yeah.
missions, and he knew, because it's what they say, the window was only every 70 years.
Yeah.
He knew he would be dead for the next one,
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
and so he
that was what
really.
I bought, was that it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
definitely him
I
that
mean, it
did it.
made sense, but what I didn't understand was how the evidence was right there at the body and they didn't notice it
That
until the very. It didn't make any sense to
Yeah,
me
that
at
was
all.
a little odd. I'm not entirely sure on that if that was really there or if it was Detective Hugo kind of planting
Mm,
it. It was tough
Right.
to get a
It,
handle on that, but
yeah.
largely it doesn't really matter because our real
Yeah.
story is
Yeah.
about Vincent and the
Going to
bittersweet
space.
ending of him. But kind of before we get to the ending, I do have some audio clips. I got to play a few of these
Okay.
because there was some good ones
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this. Like,
There was.
I labeled this flirting because this is some epic level flirting here.
I was alone.
I find that hard to believe.
Like, come on, there is no charisma there at all between either of them.
Hmm.
I find that hard to believe.
Do you happen to have the clip where Jerome, the real Jerome, has to interact with Uma Thurman?
I might have that.
I was like, is she gonna go through with this? Because she's never met Jerome, and she's there.
So I didn't capture that,
And
but that scene, I loved that a lot. The only
I
it
like
was
that he was like, I'm gonna get a kiss.
yeah, like he's gonna play it up, and he's gonna have he's been put on the spot. He's gonna have some fun. The only thing in that scene that didn't make any sense to me is Anton and Irene get to the apartment, and we have the
Yeah.
whole lead up to that where Jerome has to climb those stairs
Yes.
and make it there in time. It's tense. It's a good.
He can afford. This is what I don't understand. He could afford one of those gremlin chairs that the old lady uses to go up the stairs.
Right. Yeah.
Like
They should have had
he
some kind of a
could-
chairlift.
like
But
I'm upstairs.
but he's got to climb all the way up there. It's all tense, and then he gets up there, and they walk in, and yeah, there's the whole interaction. He's like, "Where's my kiss?" And she comes over to kiss him on the forehead. And he's like, "Oh, no." You know, he's really playing it up.
Oh yeah.
But then Vincent somehow ends up there. Like, did he follow them? Because we never saw that. He's just suddenly at the apartment and almost caught.
Oh,
which
I
was
don't
weird to me.
I don't remember that.
That was the only thing that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the
Because he was at work and he's calling Jerome like,
yeah.
they're coming. So
I don't know. But yeah, I just loved the I was alone. I find that hard to believe. Like he's trying to flirt, but he doesn't know how.
None of them do. They're all
No.
robots.
Oh, big time. Because this was more flirting.
Well, if there's anything wrong with you, I can't see it from where I'm standing.
Like there's at least some emotion there. Not much, but there's a little bit.
Yeah.
He's trying.
He's the normal one.
He is.
Uma is like paint drying on a wall
Because
with a pretty face.
Yeah, like she is
like-
engineered, but somehow not. Like
Yes. Yeah, she alludes that there's something off with her.
yeah.
That she won't make it
had
to
the heart
space.
problem too. There was too much of there was an unacceptable percentage that she could have heart failure, and so she wasn't going to get to fly.
Yeah. So here's the question: do you think Ethan Hawke dies in On the Way?
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
the theory.
Yeah.
I think he
100%.
dies.
I don't think he makes it.
I think he dies in space. They shoot him out, and he rotates around the spaceship like
Just like a satellite.
that one. There's a show that I absolutely adore, Avenue 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they do. They put the dead bodies out, and it rotates around the spaceship.
Got to keep him close. Because he's not like he definitely doesn't make it. But that's the bittersweet part of the ending is he gets what he wanted. His goal was to get to space.
Yeah, that's all he wanted.
And that was all that he wanted. He's getting that. But he is not physically prepared for the rigors of space because he's passed all his tests using Jerome's stuff. But and the bittersweet part of that for Jerome is the whole thing where Jerome climbs into the incinerator. Because
I don't understand why he did that.
I think some of that is Jerome is under the impression that it's never going to get better for him. But he has been given, because he helped Vincent figure out and achieve his goal. The line from Jerome right before that is, you know, I got the better end of this deal because you gave me your dream.
Right.
And I think for Jerome, he's already been dealing with a lot of depression. It's not going to get better for him.
Yeah.
This way, he's set up Vincent for when Vincent comes back, which neither one of us think is actually going to happen. But Jerome doesn't know. It is weird. It does feel very almost Twilight Zone-y in an end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Like
kind of get it.
where's like the genetic counseling for the people that don't live up to the like you would think there's, because I'm sure he's not the only one. It's a whole world now of genetically modified people
Yeah.
that are not living up to standards that they think that they should. And you would think the therapy that these people need is
And-
is
And I
like,
wonder
I don't know.
if they were to
Doesn't seem
do a continuation of this world, not necessarily this story, because I feel like Vincent's
Right.
story is done. There's nothing else to
Yeah,
tell for Vincent.
He did.
And he got to go to space, died somewhere on his way to Titan.
Yeah,
Cool. You know, his heart gave out.
I'm sure it did.
But I would be really curious to see more in this world and maybe
Yeah.
see somebody championing something like better therapy for these people and
Yeah.
helping them to live up to their potential instead of just being like, you're going to do it all. Congratulations.
Did
Good
they
luck.
actually say the year,
They never,
or was it
I
they
never
just say
see
the
it.
not too distant
Yeah.
it says the not too distant future.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know why, it must have been another movie, but it was like 2035 was the year. And I'm like, dang it, that's not too far from now. That's not going to happen.
They were smart to say the not too distant future
Yeah.
because then
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
fall into the Back to the Future 2 trap of, well, we've passed
it's
that
so-
year and we don't have flying cars. What the hell?
It's still fun to do. I like it when they put a year on it.
I mean,
'Cause
it can
then
be. It can be
fun.
interesting when it's like, oh, the far-flung future of 1997 when you're watching, you know, a movie and it's like, ooh, boy, did they miss the mark on those.
I will like I said, when I looked it up and said it was 1997, I had it in my head it was 2000s.
It has a bit of that feel, but it also has visually the filmmaking style feels very late 90s. It fits right in with
It does. The trailer is awful.
the trailer is
The
very
trailer-
90s.
Oh my god.
But the visual like
yeah.
the cinematography of it feels very in line with, we had like The Crow, and then out of that we got things like Gattaca, The 13th Floor.
That's another good one.
And then into The Matrix, and we also had Dark City right around the same time, and they all had
Dark
that
City.
same.
Did you do all these already?
I've
on
done
your
Dark
show?
City. I love Dark City so much.
Dark City was that's the weird. I love a weird, just
And
mind-bending movie.
this fits tonally with a lot of those because it's
Yeah.
that kind of sci-fi that's very contemplative and very, you said it earlier, thinking sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's not action sci-fi. There's no action. I mean, the biggest action sequence we get in this is two guys swimming in the ocean. That's clearly shot in a pool.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But it's not an action movie. It's a sci-fi story, and I like that about it. But it is, and it even has moments of being funny. Like, again, Alan Arkin, his character made me chuckle a few times. I loved this line.
Either the suspect went back to the scene of the crime to get a drink of water, and I don't know anybody that thirsty, or he still works there.
I don't know anybody that thirsty. I was like, yep, that's true. I don't either. I love that.
And the older people are the more human people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because they've actually had to live lives and not just be handed everything.
And that's why I'm kind of pissed off at Vincent's parents. Like, not just his dad. His dad's a dick, but like his mom. Like, I don't know. Like, she just kind of is a very passive person in his life, and
Yeah. And again, I'd be really curious to see more of that story of sort of,
mhm.
I would love to get like a novelization or something that gave me the story from Vincent's birth until he left home, from their
Yeah,
perspective, from his parents' perspective,
because
going
from his
through.
perspective, he was very protected. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
don't he can't go to school because he has this condition. He can't fall, he can't do this, he can't do that, like a bubble boy
Yeah.
almost of
Hmm.
sorts.
And
So,
so it would be really curious to see like the perspective of the dad and the mom and how they dealt with that and maybe why they made the decisions that they did.
yeah.
Because you're right,
Yeah.
like they don't really do a great job and they kind of
It
almost
doesn't I don't
abandon
feel
him.
love. Yes, I
Yeah.
don't feel love. I feel like his older brother was the golden boy, and like Vincent was just kind of cast aside.
Hmm.
And
Especially, yeah,
that's
once Anton comes into the picture, they don't really give Vincent a whole lot. And
right.
some of that is what drives him. But at the
Yes.
same time, still, like, you got two boys, treat them both well.
Yeah. Yeah. But all in all, I'm glad you watched it. Are you glad you watched
I
it?
am very glad I watched it. It's one that I always saw and I heard a lot of people say, like, oh, this is great sci-fi. Oh, this is the type of sci-fi you
Yeah.
really like to watch. And I either would kind of kick the can down the road and forget about it, or
Yeah.
it would come up and I'd be like, yeah, I need to watch that. And then I'd forget about it.
And then it
And
goes off Prime for
yeah,
free.
then it goes off Prime. It wasn't a big hit either, which I think at the time hurt it for me. Not so much that like, oh, it wasn't a hit, I didn't
Oh.
want to see it, but more of I didn't have the
Yeah.
opportunity to, because it was
Yeah. Yeah.
it's that middle budget type of movie, right? It's $36 million budget for this in 1997, so it's not low budget, but it's not a blockbuster.
Right.
And you see the budget in the film. I think that they use that money really well, but it didn't
Mhm.
do well. It kind of bombed at the box office, and so it was one of
I didn't
those
realize
where,
that.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't a big hit. It was reviewed well, critics liked it, but
Yeah.
audiences just didn't go to see it because, and it's that problem of it's something new, it's something different. You mentioned the trailer. The trailer doesn't do a great job, I don't think, of
Oh,
really
the
telling
trailer
you
does
what
a
the movie
terrible job.
is. And
Do you remember
so,
they used to have TV shows that only showed the trailers?
mhm. Oh yeah,
And that was how you kind of guessed of whether or not you wanted to go see a movie. So I could see this trailer really not doing it any favors. So,
marketing a movie is so much about so influential in how it will do in the theater, because if you don't market a
mhm.
movie well, then nobody thinks about it to go see it. But
Mhm.
by the same token, you can go the Sony route, and I use them as the example, but overmarket something and explain and give you too much in a trailer
Yeah.
that then, so it's that fine line you have to balance of like, you have to set up the tone of the movie. I've seen some trailers where you watch the trailer and then you go see the movie and you're like, this doesn't they didn't sell me this movie. They
Yeah.
sold me something completely different.
I want to say
Because,
Dark City was probably kind of like that too.
yep, absolutely. A lot of these
Yeah.
movies did that at that time.
Because they didn't know how to
Hmm.
handle, I
Yeah.
just don't think they knew how to handle
And
promoting
it's
these
because
kind of movies to us weirdos.
a, well, a director and a writer may not necessarily understand how to promote their thing to an audience.
Yeah.
And so then you get somebody who's in marketing who knows how to promote a thing, but they're not necessarily going to see the final product, because a lot of trailers are done well before the movie is finished. And so
Yeah.
they're just given
Yeah.
footage and cut it together. And that can work, but it's really difficult sometimes to marry the two and like be able, because this
Mhm.
Gattaca is not a movie for like a wide audience. It's not, the 4/4 type movie where you're going to get
Right.
men, women, children,
Well,
you
yeah,
know.
there's no women talking to women in this
No,
movie.
there isn't.
There's no I don't think I saw a person of color
except for Blair
Oh
Underwood,
no,
the
actually, yeah.
geneticist.
Well, and Maya Rudolph.
Yep, Maya Rudolph. And there's like one other
Um,
person at the very end in the spaceship, but he has no
but
speaking
it
lines.
is a very, very white world
It is.
in Gattaca.
It is, which I think in some ways can be some of the commentary
Yes.
to it as well. But it's one of those where this movie deserves to have the budget that it does, because it's not a tentpole blockbuster, get everybody in the theater to see it type of movie.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
you still have to market that right. And so
Yeah.
this could have done fairly well, because it is a very well done, well structured movie. Like the pacing of it is very good. There isn't a lot that I would say. Sometimes you
It
can
has
watch a movie.
Jude Law, man. Jude Law was like
It's about,
I don't know.
I think
Jude
it's
Law's
I think it's
awesome.
5 years too early for Jude Law to be Jude Law. Like he wasn't that person yet. So a few years down the road, you can market with his name and Ethan Hawke's name.
What did Ethan Hawke do before this? Do we know?
He had done
Reality Bites.
Reality
right?
Bites and
Oh
Dead
my
Poet
God, I love that
Society,
movie.
and
Ugh.
I think one of the Before trilogy was around then. Reality Bites was 94.
Oh, I love that movie.
Before Sunrise was 95, so he had started
Oh,
that
I love that movie too.
that
was
trilogy.
another good one.
And then he did this. So those were kind of his big ones, were Reality Bites, Dead Poet Society, White Fang, and Before Sunrise. So he was still, I wouldn't call him, especially at that time, like a superstar.
Seasoned actor.
Yeah.
or a season. I mean, like he's cutting. I feel like he's cutting his teeth on these earlier movies,
For sure.
And as he's
Yeah, and he would go on to
more
do just a lot
experience.
more. But he was never your Tom Cruise puts butts in seats type of name.
Did Ethan Hawke marry Uma Thurman?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yep. And they have a daughter, Maya.
But they're divorced now.
They're separated now. They're no longer together, but their daughter, Maya Hawke, looks a lot like her mom.
Oh my God, she's so wonderful in Stranger Things.
Oh, she's great. She's fantastic.
So wonderful. I love her. I don't care, nepotism, whatever. Give it to me. I love her.
No, she's great. We have such a great younger generation of actors that came from acting couples right now, that I know there's a lot of nepo babies. I don't see that, because I see so many of them making their own mark, like Wyatt Russell.
Fay Lynn reminded me about Explorers. He was so young in that one too.
Oh yeah, that was his first movie.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
But there are some.
He's always kind of he likes sci-fi. It feels like as an actor, he's drawn to those kind of sci-fi type movies. I love it. 1985.
I think it's the type of thing where it lets you stretch a little bit as an actor and do something different. That I think is really fascinating. No, I'm so glad I got to see this movie, and I'm glad that you were like, because it's one that I have wanted to watch for years, and to have somebody that's like, I love this movie, let's do it. Perfect. So
well, I was going through your list, and then I was like, I saw I was on the list. I was like, wait, and I was like, you haven't seen this movie? You got to see this movie.
And it's one I will revisit for sure.
I have to say, I was a little nervous that it wasn't going to hold up for me, because in my mind, the movie I saw in the theater, how 30 years have passed, but I was really, really happy that it held up. So at least, I mean, in the sense that you have this dystopian kind of sterile world of genetics and classism and all of that kind of just still fits in that world, in that movie.
They were wise to make it a not too distant future movie and give it a timeless feel with that retro futurism, where it's got enough sci-fi elements, but also enough familiar, older-looking elements, and then the sterility of
Mm-hmm.
everything. And it's a small story. It just is
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vincent and Jerome, and then by extension Irene and Anton and a couple of other people. But it's a very small, intimate story that helps it to, I think, hold up over time because you don't
Yeah.
get too big and you don't have too many other things going on.
And there's whole Reddit like for like forum posts that talk about like they theorize like
Oh yeah.
what happened after, and they kind of play with all of it. So, and that's why I was like, oh my god, I didn't even think he could die on the trip, but it makes sense he would die on the trip. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
No, this is very, very good. And I understand why so many people really like it. I can see where some folks don't get into the style or the pacing. It is a slower paced movie.
it
And
is.
mentioning it doesn't have any action, some people just want action and escapism in their movies. And
Yeah.
this doesn't have the action part of that. And so I get it. But I do think it's
I like a
very.
thinking story.
I do too. I love a story that makes me think, makes me ask questions. If I get done with a movie and my reactions are like, I want to know more about this. I want to learn what was this about? Like that to
Yeah.
me is really well done when you can make me question and think about your movie afterwards. And Gattaca does that.
Well, you're gonna have to tune in to Recommendals on Wednesday because I have a movie for you.
Excellent. Excellent.
And
Speaking of
it's on and it's free to
Oh,
watch right now.
perfect. Even better.
Yeah, it's
Speaking
even
of
better.
recommendals,
Yeah.
what do you have going on that you want to tell people about, that you want people to, if they're hearing your voice for the first time, that maybe you want them to check
Yeah.
out?
So, I started podcasting in 2009 with a podcast called Ladies of Leet, and it was me and Kim and Stephanie, and we were in a raid team together in World of Warcraft, and there were no females podcast. Twitch really was. I think Twitch might have still been Justin TV,
That
to
sounds
be
like the
honest with
timeline
you.
would be about right. Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, I really want to put a female voice out there talking about video games because I have always loved video games. And so we started Ladies of Elite. And I will say some of those earlier, I mean, we have 3-hour episodes talking about video games.
Awesome.
So that's where I got started. And then shortly after, I started doing a podcast called The Movielicious, which you can still listen to. Patrick Beja and Terpster were my two co-hosts, and it was such an interesting movie podcast because um, Patrick was in Paris,
Mhm.
Terpster was in England, and I was in the U.S. And it's amazing how, and we tried to talk about new movies,
Okay.
and we could never sync up in the release schedule unless it was a big budget movie.
Right.
So that's why we talk a lot about like Avatar and, the Muppets, like something that would come out all at the same time across the world. But I did that. All of those episodes are still out there. I still have people that write me and they said, I just found Movielicious. I loved it so much. I wish you would
That's
do it
awesome.
again. I had so much fun with those guys. It was one of my favorite. But one of the segments in Movielicious was we recommended streaming movies. So it would, and then I did my Nicole thing where I was thinking recommendation and rental at the same time, and the two words merged in my mouth and recommendals became.
It's real good. I use that a lot. So I talk about
and
recommendals
then
quite a bit.
and and then Scott started the morning stream in, was it 2011?
That
No,
sounds right.
2010. I don't know. It was in that same time frame that I was doing Movielicious, so it was kind of a crossover. So I would go on my little segment, and initially I had this is before I had kids. I used to bring 3 movies to recommendals by myself, and we would talk about movies that were kind of hidden in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would talk. Um, I'm I love to find hidden
Oh
gems,
yeah. Oh, love 'em.
and like that's what I've been doing recently. I've gotten my last. I found the cartoon Infinity Train,
Okay.
and Infinity Train is just an amazing 4-season cartoon about a train and redemption and all of that. But Amazon has a brilliant way of recommending me things like Infinity Train that I have found some of my most favorite movies of the year this way. And the one I'm going to recommend on Wednesday on the morning stream comes from that that line that I've gotten from.
Oh, excellent.
So Infinity Train has hooked me up with some really wonderful hidden movies that I didn't even know existed. And it's like I look at it, I go, "Oh, was this like 10 years ago?" No, this was last year. And it's amazing how much you miss
Oh, there's so
because
much.
there's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't necessarily I like a good, big blockbuster every once in a while,
Mhm.
but I prefer some. I like the thinking movies.
Yeah.
I like the sci-fi. I like the stories. I like, I can't get too. I do like scary sometimes, as long as it's like I'm a huge Stephen King fan, so the weird and the wonderful
Oh yeah.
kind of fit with me. So if you identify with anything that I say, make sure you watch my recommendals.
For sure. And that's roughly every week, depending for you on kind of what's going on. If you're on morning
Yes.
stream.
Yeah. Every Wednesday, I try to make it. I got sick a few years ago, and it's honestly been one of the things that had kept me going, because I take a 4-hour nap, like kind of thing where it's a fatigue thing that happens with my condition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love the community. I love talking about movies. So thank you for inviting me onto your show.
Absolutely.
I
You are
love
somebody
talking
that
about Gattaca.
I've wanted to have you on for a while, so it was just figuring out the timing of it, and then I knew like
Yeah.
you had things going on, so we finally were able to get it done, and it was great getting to meet you and hang out in Vegas this year. That was a lot of
Oh my
fun.
God, it was, that was just so amazing to me. That was a big deal for me. It made me more confident in my health and my resilience, and being able to even do something like this is huge for me. So, um, I mean, we've been at it for an hour, so recommendals is like what? I don't know, 20 minutes. Scott tries to keep us pretty tight unless I go off on a tangent, which I will.
They do. It
I can
happens.
guarantee you I will go off on a tangent. So, but yeah, I had a lot of fun. This was great. I like talking about Gattaca and watching it again. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had a reason to watch Gattaca. So it was kind of neat to kind of rewind and go back to college. And
Yeah, it worked for both of us.
uh
You had a reason to
yeah,
rewatch it, and I finally had a reason to watch it and get it check it off my list.
I
Um,
love it. I love it.
and
Do
if
you
you're,
really have a list?
oh yeah, oh I have a
You have a
spreadsheet. I have a
I
spreadsheet that has all of the
We are
episodes I've
spreadsheet
done,
friends.
and I have spreadsheets of like movies that I want to do, and
Yep.
because people will tell me every once in a while, hey, if you ever want to do this movie, let me know, and I'll put that on my
Yeah,
list, and I'll put movies that I
that's
want to watch,
perfect.
or if I hear about something, I'll make sure it gets on. And so yeah, my spreadsheet is ridiculous at this point. But
I'm a spreadsheet person too.
um,
So
well, if you're listening to this show folks, and you enjoy it, come hang out on a Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time at twitch.tv/tvstravis. Check it out live, or watch, catch it after the fact Wednesdays on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast. You can find it. Wednesdays also happen to be Recommendal Day. So if you are a morning stream listener, the Recommendals happens on Wednesdays. You can check me out at my website, tvstravis.com, tvstravis.com. You can find links to all the shows that I do. You can find links to all the things that I'm working on. There's merch there. There's the Patreon, which it's as little as $5 a month. And what it does for this show is it helps me to keep doing these shows and go and do the things live like I did in Las Vegas. I'm going to Dragon Con in less than 2 months, which is scary.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. Is it your first time, or have you been
I went
to Dragon
last
Con
year.
before?
Last year was my first Dragon Con. I will be back as an attending pro and doing the show live there. So
that's amazing. Are you on the podcast track?
I am. Yep.
I used to run the podcast track with Brian Dunaway.
Yep, and now it's Charles McFall running it, and
yep, he lives there. It makes more sense that he does it.
Mm-hmm. And so the Patreon really helps me to do that. And as a patron, you get access to special parts of my Discord server, as well as I do the First Watch Diaries, where I find a series and I'm watching them episode by episode. And they're little short episodes. They're 10, 15 minutes long. My reactions to a show. I am one episode from being finished with Ahsoka. I watched season 1 of that.
Oh.
So I'm looking at what I'm going to go to next. And overall,
that's my review.
Overall, I have liked it, but I didn't have a strong connection to Rebels or anything like that. So I didn't have. So some of it was like, oh, okay, this is
Rebels.
This is cool.
What's that movie? It's from some movie. I know it's like Rebels.
Oh yeah. Oh man, what is that?
I don't know. I have so much like 80s, 90s like things in my head where me and my husband will have inside jokes, and then we lose where we got the inside joke.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it's just the joke remains, but the context of it is gone for sure. So coming up next episode, folks, I've got Dr. Nikki coming on.
Oh, Dr. Nikki, I love Dr. Nikki.
And she has got me watching A Knight's Tale, because I have seen bits and pieces of A Knight's Tale. I have never watched it all the way through. And here's the funny thing, and I will talk about this a bit in the next episode. I worked at a Suncoast Video in the early 2000s. A Knight's Tale was one of the movies that we would play in a rotation in our store. Except I would always get just parts of it, because it would be the end of it as I was coming in for a shift, or it would start and then I would leave for the day. I never watched it all the way through. So I'm fixing that next week.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you.
So I can't wait.
Just keep an open mind about how they sprinkle in modern things into a like that world, like a medieval world.
That was
there's things that that was the thing that's not. When I first watched it, I was like, it kind of pulled me out of it, and I was like, what the hell is going on? But then I've watched it many times, and I appreciate it more now. So
it's one of those, the bits and pieces that I saw initially when I was younger, I was like put off by that, right? Because I'm a period movie. Why are you having Queen playing a film?
Yeah.
Like, I will appreciate that better now. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, I hope so. I do. I know I appreciate it more. So it's a very fun movie.
That's what I hear a lot of, is fun. And I'm all for that. So that's what's coming up next time. And then I got some more fun ones as we are into July and getting closer and closer to August. And my yearly celebration of the great Nicolas Cage and Cageapalooza 2025 is on its way. And I can't wait, because I've already got 2 movies that we're going to do.
Cage Week.
Yep, it's Cage Month.
Cage Week.
It's just Cage Month.
Cage Month. Oh my God, which ones are you? Can you tell me which ones you're doing?
So I can tell you that one of them that I will be doing for sure is Dream Scenario, that just came out. where
I haven't seen that.
it looks absolutely bizarre. Something about
Is
a
that the
bunch of
one with Pedro Pascal?
that was the
Oh no,
unbearable weight
that
of
was
massive
the
talent,
okay.
which is
I haven't seen
fantastic.
that one.
I've done that
I haven't
one.
seen that one either yet.
That's
I'm
worth
so
watching.
behind on. Yeah. I just see the meme all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's Nick Cage's whole career is a meme now,
Yeah.
but he's great, and I can't wait. So that I got some fun stuff coming up, and then at
That's cool.
Dragon Con, I will be doing the show there, and I've got a dad and his two sons do a podcast YouTube channel called Uploads of Fun, and his boys are 13 and 16, and they've never seen The Sandlot, and so we decided.
My gosh, that's amazing.
We decided that's what we're doing. So I'm going to be talking about The Sandlot at Dragon Con with the boys and their dad, and I cannot wait.
I tried to get my kids to watch. I have tried to get my son to watch Sandlot, and it's just not for him. So
I'm curious. I'm really curious how, kids this age are going to look at that movie, because that's such a weird time capsule of both 90s movies, but also it's set in the 50s. So
yes.
I'm really curious how that's going to play for them.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up. I got some fun stuff.
Well, and if you ever want me on the show again,
for sure. I'll have you back. Oh, absolutely. Anytime you want.
Maybe, yeah. Sure. I'll look at your list. Maybe I'll look and try to find some movies that you haven't seen yet. Maybe we can talk about the movie that I'm going to recommend on Wednesday.
Yeah, it could be,
because that one is.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait to hear what that is. But thank you so much, Nicole, for being here. This has been fun. Thank you for listening, and just remember, I did too. I had a lot of fun. So just remember to enjoy your movies, everybody, and let's be excellent to each other. All right, it's been Wait You Haven't Seen.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. I am your detective for the evening. Please don't leave the premises.
I loved him. Oh, he was so good.
I love your outro.